Hi, this is Frank Warren. You're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. We're here in Birmingham for yet another magnificent Seven show. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Francis Warren. Francis, good afternoon. How's your stay going in Birmingham so far?
It's always delightful up here. Always lovely. Bit of a slog up from London, but it is what it is.
What's your most fond memory of Birmingham in terms of boxing-wise?
Good question. Good question. Do you know what? There's been some great shows up here. Really good shows, but I think, obviously it's down the road in Telford, but I just think it is the current crop of guys being in the Midlands, enjoying this sort of Midlands resurgence of I think obviously there's some terrific talent up here, and I think it's this one on Saturday I'm looking forward to the most.
I think we're all looking forward to the show. What is it, 7 title fights, quite a few undefeated fighters on the card. One of those being your guy Pierce O'Leary, one of the most exciting prospects in the UK, involved in a very tough fight against a good undefeated fighter. So what can we expect on Saturday night with Pierce?
I think it's about, he had a tough fight against Kane Gardner last time out. Kane's he's a good sort of yardstick as to where he's at, and I just think it's rather than taking a sidestep, we've decided that Pierce should move, take a giant leap towards a decent ranking. He's at number 7 in the EBU, and I think with this he may end up being number 1 or 2, which would leave him in a great position if Adam, Azim and Dalton don't get it on, to potentially fight for a vacant title. That's the aim of the game. We've had extensive conversations about it, Pierce thinks he's as we do. I certainly do. My dad does. Thinks he's ready for those sorts of fights this year. But as you said, he's fighting a 16-0 Belgian guy who's tough as they come. Will provide him a very, very stern test, and I think that's the sort of fight you need to have before you move on to the likes of Dalton and Anthony Yidgett and those sort of fighters.
As you mentioned, obviously he's involved in that mix right now with Dalton Smith and of course Adam Azim, and that's a fight people are talking about. But you sometimes look at it and think it's a bit of a shame that Pierce doesn't get mentioned in that mix as well, because he's undefeated, he's got a belt, and he's going to get a ranking at some point as well. So do you think there's a bit of slight disappointment, or do you expect that? Do you kind of understand why that is? I think
it will come. I think you look at where Adam and Dalton. Dalton's done it, because he's a terrific talent. I'm not saying that Adam isn't, but Adam is, in my opinion, one of the shining lights at Sky. So they've given him all the treatment. Pierce is, he's been with us for a couple of years now, and we've done everything we can to manoeuvre him in the right direction. But you don't want to be chasing fame before you've, I think the wins come before the fame, and the right fights come before you get the recognition sometimes. Pierce has done it hard way, and it's down to us now to make sure that it's smooth sailing. But I'm sure he'd rather 3 wins and everyone knows him in a year, rather than everyone knows his name now and it doesn't go right on Saturday. So we're manoeuvring him not carefully but strategically very well. And I do believe that Pierce O'Leary will be a world champion within 18 months. And I think step 1 on Saturday, and then I would definitely want that European title for him by the end of the year. But with that European title, gets you a fantastic world ranking. This will be the 3rd defence of his WBC international title. So we're on the right track, and the recognition and the glory will come. But this is about setting a foundation for him from which he's got a sturdy basis to move forward. And I think he's in a terrific position. He's got a good record, belt round his waist, and he's doing his work quietly and effectively. If it blows up this weekend because he puts on a great performance, then great, and we can start shouting from the rooftops a bit more. But I think this could be Pierce. The next 12 months could belong to Pierce O'Leary.
Fingers crossed he comes through on Saturday night. Just talk a bit about the rest of your stable, a couple of guys that you look after. Moses Itauma, a guy that I'm very excited about. We were hoping to get on Solomon Dakers versus David Adley on this show. I don't know why that's not happened, but is the English title a route that you're perhaps looking to take next with Big Moses?
Potentially. The board put it out as Moses being a mandatory, but the Adelaide fight against Solomon, Adelaide against Dacres was already made, so we said, right, you guys crack on. Since then, David's moved trainers, so he's setting up camp with the new trainer, and I'll let him tell you when I won't ruin the surprise. He's setting up camp with the new trainer, and he wanted to sort of spend some time in his new training environment before he fights Solomon. I believe So will have another fight in the interim, and then those two will get it on in the summer. Regarding Moses, the English title, it's a great title to have. It's a good first step onto the championship ladder. But I've got something else up my sleeve for him after his next fight. He's going to fight him on May 18th in Saudi, and I've got something up my sleeve for him when he boxes out there.
Can I throw a fight in there if you don't mind?
Go for it.
Queensbury versus Matchroom, Moses Itauma versus Johnny Fisher. Great heavyweight bout, 2 undefeated heavyweights.
I like Johnny too much to make that fight.
It's business though, Francis.
It's business. Of course it is. Listen, I think that could be a great fight for a British title down the line. But at this stage, obviously, I think Johnny's having a great run of wins. He's probably one of the most popular guys, aside from Nathan Heaney in British boxing. And I think that fight would have to be for something substantial to make it worthwhile for both guys. And we'll do it in the future, but that's not one for now.
Fair enough. You're the matchmaker. I'm not. I do this. So, okay. Speaking about Saudi, we're coming off the back of another good show. Anthony Joshua stopping Francis Ngannou. Nick Ball should be a world champion. Joseph Parker with yet another impressive win. What did you make of the show last weekend out in Saudi, Francis?
I thought it was terrific. I was actually watching it. I watched it at home on TV. I thought the production was fantastic. I thought it was a really great show. Every fight was intriguing. Madrimov really impressed me. I thought he looks dangerous, very dangerous. I think he's got to be up there with one of the guys that will be pretty avoided from now on. Parker once again looked terrific against the man mountain, which is Zhilei Zhang, and I think that's going to happen again. So at some point, that'd be very intriguing to see how both guys approach a rematch. But fair play to Joseph Parker. I've got a lot of time for him. Nick Ball, he just didn't get the rub of the green. I thought he won the fight. I don't think there's many people who would argue with it. But it's one of them. Take your knocks and you have to kind of get on with it. I did text Paul Stevenson straight away, and I said, you won that fight. I don't think there's many people on socials or professional that didn't agree with the fact that he definitely won it. But boxing's a strange game sometimes.
Francis, what are not only your own man but yourself and the rest of Queensbury learning about working alongside Matchroom and Turki Alalshikh? I mean, because it seems, I remember when the first press conference between Matchroom and Queensbury come together, and Eddie said that the key word in all this is collaboration. So, what are you guys learning working with other promoters, and especially a guy who's influenced boxing as much as Turki Alalshikh has?
I think it's bringing together great fighters and great fights, and that's the most important thing. It's down to His Excellency that this situation has arisen, and that we're playing forward with some terrific fights on some terrific cards. It's good to be making fights and be part of making some history here, because that's what it is. It is the best against the best, and long may it continue.
This obviously all started with a crossover fight between Tyson and Francis Ngannou. A lot of people have a divided opinion about it, but we've got to look at Tyson's side of things. He was struggling to get an opponent. The Usyk fight, which we were hoping to happen back then, didn't happen then for specific reasons. And obviously Simon Jordan's had a bit to say about Tyson going down this crossover route. Do we think we need to sort of look at this as a positive thing, that there's not only just an opponent out there, but there's people from different sports willing to come over to try and see if they've got what it takes to sort of withstand great fighters such as Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? And do you think the negativity needs to sort of wind down now? Because it only got announced yesterday that Nate Diaz will take on Jorge Masvidal in a 10-round boxing fight. So is this going to be a thing that's normal now? And do you think that people out there need to accept it for what it is now?
I just think it's an entertainment business, and the fact is Francis Ngannou, we like it or not, with the result against Anthony Joshua, he was considered one of the baddest men on the planet. What he did in the MMA was just unbelievable. In UFC was just unbelievable. So you want to find out who is, and that's why it's called the Battle of the Baddest. But to find out who truly is the best fighting machine on the planet. Tyson had an off night, and Simon Jordan's comments about him damaging his reputation. I mean, he won the fight, and even on an off night, he still beat the best that the MMA has to offer. And then Anthony did it emphatically on Friday night and looked terrific doing it. So, I think boxing against MMA, as long as their credentials within their own sports stack up and that they deserve to have that opportunity to show that they're the best fighter on the planet, then let's see some more of it.
Obviously, Saudi Arabia, are just getting bigger and bigger with their boxing. We saw what Qatar put on last year with the FIFA World Cup. So obviously there's a few more shows out there, I'm pretty sure, that are scheduled for the back end of this year. Would you like to see Turki Alalshikh and his guys maybe perhaps look at the UK side of things as boxing?
Absolutely. I think that's just 3 absolutes you've got there, so that's where we are with that.
You don't do buts, ifs, only absolutes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, has there been any talk of Turki Alalshikh perhaps coming over to the UK?
You better give George a ring. Give George a ring and my dad a ring.
Fair enough. Okay, I asked your dad about Nathan Heaney, who obviously defends his British title this Saturday night against Brad Paul's a good, tough fight. But the beauty of your old man stable is that you've got Hamza Sheeraz, you've got Denzel Bentley. What do you do with all these crop of fighters if they keep on winning?
Well, none of them are scared of taking a fight, that's for sure. You look at, obviously, Nathan this weekend, he went into a fight as a massive underdog last time out against Denzel Bentley and came out, victorious. Denzel didn't have to take that fight either, so just goes to show you, what you just said is 100% accurate, that these guys will step in against each other. Hamza fighting against Liam Williams, I don't think Liam did himself justice in any way, shape or form, but Liam's a former two-time world title challenger. So, we've got 3 guys there in the middleweight division. They've got, balls the size of King Kong. They'll do whatever it takes to further their careers. And if it doesn't work out, then at least, they get the credit for taking a risk. And, they've got a promoter in Queensbury that will always back them and make sure that they come back. Denzel's going to fight again in May. Straight back into a title fight, no messing around, and then he's one fight away again from a big fight. So I think everything's a calculated risk, but these guys aren't afraid of putting it all on the line because they know that they're at a level now where even a defeat doesn't mean a massive setback. They go straight back into the lines then, and I just think you just got to give them all massive credit for that because a lot of people just sit there, just taking the easy ones, allowing it to look at Denzel. Felix Cash, Janibek and Heaney, they were terrific fights he was involved in. He wasn't great against Felix Cash, but the other two, they were good fights, and he'll come again now.
I mean, Hamza Sheeraz is a guy that everybody wants to see more of now, especially after that emphatic performance against Liam Williams. A fight that he's called is obviously against Chris Eubank Jr., who we don't know what he's doing next, but he kind of teased the idea on his social media of him taking on Terence Crawford next.
Is that real? What is that?
If he's posting on his social media, there must be something there. Just get your thoughts on it. But interesting fact about that is that his last fight against Liam Smith, his trainer was Bomac, who is the full-time trainer of Terence Crawford. So do you think there's anything behind that, do you think, or it's just teasing boxing fans?
I mean, I get fooled all the time by these bloody Twitter and internet posts. I'm like, no.
That's why you never repost anything, because you're never on social media.
No. I mean, listen, if it did happen, everyone's going to watch it. It's going to be an intriguing one. Chris Eubank Jr. is always in an entertaining fight, and Terence Crawford's the man. So it would be a spectacle, and it's really interesting. More to the point to see how Terence gets on at middleweight. If it was at that weight. Against a genuine, guy who's been been in with some of the best fighters, and it'd be an interesting one. I'd watch it.
Anthony Yard, Josh Buatsi, has there been any development there with those two?
They both won it, so fingers crossed it will happen.
Okay, one final one before I let you go, and I've actually enjoyed sitting down speaking with you for a lengthy period of time. Just want to move back to Saudi. Anthony Joshua did what he had to do. Eddie Hearn's come out and said he'll beat Tyson Fury, he'll beat Alexander Usyk. A lot of people are saying he beats Tyson Fury now. But let's remember, Tyson Fury is still considered the #1 heavyweight in the world. Does this version of Anthony Joshua give Tyson Fury a more closer fight than we thought he would 18 months ago?
That's why we love boxing, because the narrative changes on a daily basis. And, a year ago, Anthony Joshua was washed up. People. There was a very respected journalist called him a busted flush, and even after the Jermaine Franklin fight, people said he's not the same guy, and And then Wallin fight, people start to believe, and now after boxing, knocking out Ngannou, everyone thinks he's number one again. So that's how quickly boxing can change. Tyson has an off night against Ngannou, and then all of a sudden Joshua is the man. So I think boxing is the most fickle of sports out there, and that's what keeps it entertaining and keeps people intrigued, because it can flip it like the flick of a switch. And I think it'll be when it happens, and I've prayed to God it does happen, because first and foremost we're all boxing fans. And obviously from a business point of view, it'd be fantastic. But from a fan's point of view, I think it'll be it'll be top 2 or 3 fights ever. Fury against Anthony Joshua, and
I've got it down as the biggest fight of all time.
I wouldn't argue with that one. I wouldn't argue with that. I think it's the biggest fight that's ever happened, and everyone's clamouring for it. But obviously Tyson's got some serious work to do come May 18th. So let's see how we go.
Francis, anything you'd like to add before I let you go?
Just tune in. If you're not here on Saturday, tune in to TNT Sports, and look forward to a great show Saturday.
Francis, Ron, pleasure as always. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Talk to lots of
Thanks, boss. Cheers, mate. Perfect.